So let's talk about the different kinds of applications that you can create with Xcode and specifically let's look at the iPhone versions of these applications. So most of these actually would apply for an iPad as well, but what we're really concerned about here is how it's going to look and behave on an iPhone. And so the first type of application is a navigation based application. And you can see here I've got two screenshots from a small navigation application that I created. And the basic thing that you start out with a navigation based application is a list view where you're going to have a list of items. And then typically with this type of application, you're going to have the user do something like select an item, and then it'll take them to another screen, or it'll do something with that item. In this case, you can see if you would touch the green button, then it would take you to the screen that says green, and then there's a back button to go back. So this is useful for data that kind of presents itself this way. I can think of some applications like a queue management application for Netflix, where you would have your queue basically be your selection here, and then you could add items to the queue. Anything that you would track in a list. And kind of this is one of the main application types for iPhone. So you kind of want to think first, do I fit into a navigation based application? Because they tend to be very easy for a user to use and very quick to get to your data and do something. So, and a lot of things tend to lend themselves to a navigation based application if you kind of think in that mindset. So moving on, the second type of application that you can create is the OpenGL ES application. And of course, I don't have the animation here, but we'll look at that when we actually look at it on the in Xcode. This is a screenshot of the simulator, and this is a bouncing square in the actual demo application that they give you when you start up. And this kind of application really gears itself towards game development or anything that would be kind of interactive with the user like that you want some either 3D graphics or some kind of animations, anything that's going to be graphic intensive or like a rich multimedia application. This is probably going to be your choice. I would say that a majority of the uses of this are games. So the next one is a tab bar application. This is another very popular type of application. You can see here I've got a view where you can click the first or the second view, and then it'll switch between the tabs there. And this is the basic template that they give you when you first create a tab bar application in Xcode. And it's really a universal type of application. This tends to lend itself towards kind of functional things where you might have different views of data, or you might have one or more functions that the application performs that are fairly distinct. Some people use this for settings, where you would have your settings on a tab. In my application that I developed, Pacemaker, I use a tab-based application, and I use the initial tab, for example, to let you have the function of charting your run, and then a settings tab, and then a history tab that lets you see a history of your run. So those type of things are what you're going to want to use a tab application for. The next one is a utility application. This is actually the type of application that we're going to be building when we go ahead and work on our protein tracking application. And the basis of this application is a single screen. And as you can see at the first screenshot, there's a little eye and a circle at the bottom right hand corner, and that is basically represents information. And when you touch that, it kind of flips over as if it's a index card that you could flip over the back of. And then on the back, you're seeing the second screenshot. And normally you would have something there, either some setting or some configuration or some additional things. So any kind of paradigm where you could think of as flipping over a card. One good example I always use is the weather application that comes on the phone. It's utility based, and if you click the info, it'll let you configure it for what city that you would like to get the weather for. So then real quickly, these are the last set of templates that you have here. A split view based application is iPad only. We're focusing on iPhone for this course, but it's essentially a application type where you have a navigation on the left, kind of like a master and detail control type of application. And then you have a view-based application. It's basically the template in Xcode, and that one just has a single view in it, and it doesn't give you anything else. So it's kind of more open for you to build it however you want from there. And then the last type is a window-based application, and that one doesn't even give you a view. It just gives you the minimum code that you need to start up an iPhone application, kind of gives you that skeleton code. So the view and the window-based are not really applications types. They're more of application templates in Xcode.